around. Check this out. I want to show you the composure and the ring generalship of Terence Crawford here. Check it out. Read the captions below. His corner is telling him that Porter is up. Crawford says, okay. He's trying to confirm, is he really up? Look what he says here. Crawford says, all right, I got this. This is ring generalship here. And you see Crawford, he's gonna step in, he's gonna apply some pressure. He's not gonna get overly anxious because he's down, and he's gonna start putting in work. Okay, probing with the lead hand, controlling distance, applying pressure, cutting off the ring, boom. Now we'll go into the dynamics of that knockdown, the positioning battle that was happening, or the positioning that Crawford took advantage to get that knockdown, and what set the stage for it in the next clip. Hopefully this doesn't get blocked. And once again, look at the ring generalship. He's not overly anxious or overly eager. A lot of guys, they rush in and they try to get the knockout. Crawford's smart. He knows Porter is still somewhat dangerous, a little unpredictable, but he's applying pressure effectively. He's very patient. That's what makes him so great, the patience. That's what made Mayweather so great, was his patience. Boom, finish it, catches him with a hook. And you guys got to understand that this is not just a game of physical brutality. There's a lot of mental warfare going on. It's a chess match mentally going on. And no, was it an early stoppage? Yeah, fair enough. I'm not going to argue that. But what was to come was inevitable. You know how I feel about that situation if you watch my post-fight breakdown. Porter wasn't going to get out of that situation alive. Was he okay there? Yeah, he was okay. But what was to come was going to be an ugly knockout. But I'll get into my next clip and get more into the dynamics of what happened with that knockdown. But it was just brilliant on Crawford's part. It shows the ring generalship and the control he had with it throughout the fight. Because a lot of guys, yeah, we hear it all the time. Oh, you're down on the scorecards. You need to do something. And a lot of guys, they don't do anything. Or they go in there and they're kind of hesitant. Or they know they need to take action, but they can't necessarily do so because they're not the ring general, or they're not in complete control of the fight. Crawford gets told, hey, you're down on the scorecards. And he says, you need to pick it up. And he says, he gives a little smirk, like, what the hell? How am I down on the scorecards? And he says, okay, all right, I'm down on the scorecards. I got this. Ring generalship and control at its finest. Let's get into the next clip. All right, lots of subtle stuff going on here, you guys. This is the mastery of Terence Crawford. Lots of little things that, get overlooked, but let's try to nail them all. First off, look how Crawford kind of baits Porter in with his jab. He throws that bait out there to suck Porter in and to start countering on him. But one thing you need to notice immediately, look at the lead foot of Crawford, how it's on the outside of Porter's lead leg. Okay, we have Crawford in the southpaw stance and we have Porter in the orthodox stance. Now, obviously, being lead foot dominant, you don't need to always be lead foot dominant when you have two mirrored stance opponents. But most of the time, you want to get that lead foot to the outside. Okay, that's because you're going to be in a position to hit your opponent and they can't hit you back. And as you see with Crawford, he gets that lead foot to the outside and he's in a position against Crawford to where he's not going to get hit anything, and his rear hand, which is his left, is going to line up perfectly and expose Porter's center line. But I also want to point out some of the techniques, the hand techniques by Crawford. Okay, he throws that jab out for bait. He pulls back, he takes a half step twice, I think, which is brilliant, and stays perfectly balanced. And look at this. Parries with his left hand the overhand right from Porter. Amazing. Parries that overhand right from Porter. And let's check out the other angle. So he throws the bait, parries the overhand right with the left hand. Look at his right shoulder and how he kind of creates space. He shrugs off Porter to create space to shoot that left uppercut and get the right positioning and distance. Boom, beautiful, very subtle techniques, man, that get overlooked by the audience. A lot of people don't see this stuff. So baits, parries with the left hand, okay, creates a little space with his left shoulder as Porter's coming in. And usually Porter likes to smothers his work. This is a better angle. Parries, creates a little space, steps back one more time, boom, left uppercut to the chin, perfect punch placement, gets his lead foot to the outside and keeps it on the outside as he pulls back twice, half steps back twice. It's brilliant. Now let's point out some of the flaws that Porter made. Now with Porter, look at him. He's not controlling distance. He's not using his jab to make sure he's in proper position before launching an attack. I understand the logic, and I'll get into that later, of what Porter wanted to do. But once again, Porter does a lot of stuff, but he's not really a master of anything. Look at Porter's rear leg and almost how he pulls it up. He squares himself off, squares himself up, and by doing that, he exposes his center line, and he gets caught off balance as he's trying to pull that rear leg forward. Now, what I think Porter was trying to do, he was trying to execute a shift, okay? He was trying to execute a shift. He was trying to close distance. He knows that Crawford likes to pull back, and this is a very popular technique used to close distance for pressure fighters or aggressive fighters. Yeah, and he just did not execute it appropriately, which ended up in him paying a big price. But what a shift is, you guys. It's a great way to kind of close distance against an opponent who likes to pull back a lot or likes to retreat or is on the back foot all night. If you want to see good shifts executed, go watch a guy like Triple G or even Mayweather. Both use it for different reasons, right? Mayweather, he actually likes to use the shift to land his right hand, and he does it against orthodox and southpaw fighters. He likes to shoot his right hand, he likes to land it, and immediately after, he'll tie you up. Okay, and as he's shooting that right hand, he'll switch into the southpaw stance and he'll clinch up with you, tie you up so you can't have any sort of response or counter for him. You know, it's a nice little technique to pot shot for Floyd. When Floyd Mayweather's fighting, it's a nice little technique to pot shot and be defensively responsible right after. Sometimes he'll roll out after that right hand, he'll roll under what's coming, or he'll pivot out to the left. But a lot of times he would shoot that right hand and he would execute a shift and turn into the southpaw stance and then tie you up to close the distance. It was a great way of closing the distance and smothering his opponent right after so he doesn't have any sort of rebuttal. But then you watch a guy like Triple G, he uses it for a little bit different reasons. Triple G's a pressure fighter. He likes to cut off the ring. Most of his opponents want to go off the back foot and retreat most of the times. So the way Triple G would get his opponents to engage with him and how he would close the distance and get in the pocket was sometimes he'll probe with that lead hand, then he'll shoot that right cross, okay? As he's shooting that right cross, he switches into the southpaw stance, moving forward to close the distance, okay? And Triple G, he wouldn't smother you after. He was looking to continuously land blows to you, okay? He wanted to engage. He wanted to get you into a firefight. But the only way he could do that is if he closes the distance, cuts off your escape routes, and makes you engage with him, okay? He's gonna be right there in front of you. A lot of opponents didn't even know, like, how's this guy closing the distance so much? I'm pulling back and he's still in my face. Well, what Triple G would do, like I said, he would get in the right positioning, he would shoot that right hand, and that right hand was effectively used as a way to gauge distance, and sometimes it could land, so it's also offense, but it was also used to distract his opponent with what was going down, what was happening with his footwork downstairs while he was switching to the southpaw stance. Think about it like a duck. A duck's floating on top of water and you don't see, you know, it looks so graceful and effortless, but what you don't see underwater is that little duck, you know, freaking paddling its little legs. So you don't see what's going on beneath the surface. And then Triple G would, as he's switching into that southpaw stance, and he's got that right cross, now his rear hand becomes his left hand. Okay, what was his jab hand becomes his power hand because he switched into the southpaw stance. Now he's uncorking an overhand left, a left hook on you, or whatever punch of choice he has. He's closed the distance and he's making you engage, you know, and you're confused about the positioning and the angles because now he's in the southpaw stance, and then usually he'll kind of ease back into the orthodox or square up in the pocket and he's just ripping shots on you. So there's different ways to use that shift. Porter, he was trying to execute a shift right here to close the distance, knowing that Crawford is always pulling back. But the problem with the way he did it, he didn't properly position himself and control the distance before executing it. Okay, he didn't distract Crawford appropriately, and all Crawford had to do was step back, get his lead foot to the outside, and then boom. And as Porter was trying to switch into that southpaw stance, he got caught right in the middle of it, and he squared himself up, exposed the center line, and he got sat down. And that's why I said there's a good chance he was going to get TKO'd or KO'd, because he tends to be a bit reckless. That's why I say Porter does a lot of good things, but he's a master at nothing, okay? And when you're not mastering, sometimes you got to focus on a little and perfect them rather than a lot and be kind of subpar at things, because he paid the price for being subpar at this technique. Now, like I said, Crawford set the stage prior to this in the round before. Okay, he landed 4 uppercuts to the body, which slowed Porter down, and then on top of that, it set up the uppercut to the head, okay, which amounted to the knockdown. So lots of subtle stuff going on. This is what makes him so brilliant. You saw the way he kind of shrugged him with his shoulder to create a little distance for that left uppercut. You saw him parry the overhand right with his left hand. And then you saw him stay balanced and continue to half step back as Porter was encroaching and keep his lead foot to the outside to where he can hit and not get hit back. This is a pound for pound great fighter right here. Subtleties. This is what I'm talking about. This is stuff I look at, okay? And I would like to do more little clips like this, because this is stuff that a lot of people don't see. So this is your boy Havoc. We'll find around. Hope you enjoy the clip. Hopefully it doesn't get blocked. Get at me.